Alright, we're here with Bristly Bill, Spy and Sower, or Sower. Jeez. This is a 2-mana 2/2. Whenever you have a land enter the battlefield, put a counter on it. And then you double your 1/1 counters for 5 mana. You can do that as much as you want. You can do that part at instant speed. Not super exciting, because once you're at that point, you've either won or lost, it feels, but it's on there. I have a lot of landfall things that care about, lands entering the battlefield. Scute Swarm is very strong in this deck. There's the new one. Where are you? Nintuko. It's like kind of another Scute Swarm, sort of, except it doesn't like exponentially get stupid, but it's still pretty good. I'm running even Zendikar's Royal. This one's a little awkward, I think, at 5, but I'm gonna try it. It's on theme and everything like that. Rishkar's Expertise and I think, Return to the Wild Speaker allows a large Bristly Bill to basically draw a boatload of cards. So, I'm trying to really make this a massive creature. So I'm having a bunch of protection spells, and it's basically the other half of all my removal, which are all the cosmic hunger fight effects, just sort of tied into Bristly Bill. Hopefully it doesn't die too often. If it does die all the time, I will have to run 1-drops, so I could play a Bristly Bill on turn 2, while also running a protection spell, or leaving a protection spell up at 1 mana, because this is a 2-drop, other than just relying on Mox Amber to do that. So hopefully that's not a thing that happens all day. I don't think it will, but who knows? Who knows? You've probably only seen this commander inside of Nadu, because it's like insane with Nadu. Same with Nantuko, same thing. Like, these are like Nadu worshippers, really. But I like this strategy. It seems different enough from POC where it's worth a shot, right? It's not simply about ramping and making a large POC and then like casting Ulamog or something like that. It's similar, but like the counters don't have to go on the same creature, which is interesting. Kind of like that. I'm not running Doubling Season. That seems a little too late in the game to matter. If I have this and like 2 other creatures alive and I'm making a bunch of counters, I can't imagine Doubling Season was ever going to do anything crazy, other than like running the 5-mana Nissa, immediately getting all my forests out or something crazy like that. But I don't know, I'm just not too interested in things that cost a bunch of mana, really. Even though we are sort of a ramp deck, right? And trying to play a lot of lands, preferably 2 lands a turn. Actually, I don't have Explore in here now that I'm looking at it, so I gotta make room for Explore. Okay, I'm gonna drop Blossoming Tortoise. I'm not super big on what this ability is. I mean, it's on theme, right? But, like, I kind of anticipate this dying very often, and all it really did was just ramp me 1 land, and then I just kind of wish it was Explosive Vegetation. It's kind of how I already see this card working out. So I'm actually gonna drop this for Explore. The last thing I guess I'll talk about are Ozolith. This is pretty good if Bill dies. You can put the counters here, recast Bill, then reapply all the counters as if it never died. That seems pretty neat. It keeps up with POC that way, because POC never resets. There's another one. Yep, this Ozolith. This is just really good, right? Just sort of Hardened Scales, which we are running. We also have Hardened Scales. So these are really, really good in this deck, so hopefully we actually draw them a few times. A lot of times I've played against Bill, they almost always have this Ozolith. I don't know what's going on with that, so maybe it's biased, but we'll see. Just play a bunch of lands, make a bunch of 1/1 counters, and make it big. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's send it. Oh, mono red. Look at that. A lot of things that kill this really quickly, unfortunately. Okay. Wow, that was an incredibly quick keep there, too. Uh-oh. Yeah, I got nothing. I don't think I'm going to play Bill next turn. I might just play something else that's similarly scary, maybe? Like, this is fine. If my opponent kills this, like, that's okay. I can play Bill, and then I can play land. Solemn Golem. Alright, what does this do when it enters? Everything emerges, and you draw Emerge. Sure. And let's pass. Red might struggle with large creatures, but it's also, like, super colorless, this commander, usually. I haven't played too much against it. Every time I played against it, it hasn't done anything, but it's usually because the game's over before it can. Bristly Bill gets out of control extremely fast. Very, very quickly. Okay. Exile your hand, then draw 3. I wonder if they do it. No, they don't. Okay. Sure. You have a big old 6/6. And now everything has a merge. Not gonna let that happen. I have enough for this to be good right now, so I'm gonna just send it. I could have actually done this in combat, but there's no way my opponent isn't, like... They have to respect whatever I might do here, so I highly doubt they would block. It'd be kind of insane. I don't think there's an incentive to crack this land right now. I can just wait. It's also so large that only, like, colorless cards deal with it, so hopefully my opponent doesn't just, like, perfectly find what they need to deal with it, like Ulalek, Emrakul. Okay, this probably finds an Eldrazi, but I don't know. 9, 10, 11. 12. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Matter Reshaper. It did find an Eldrazi. It's just not the one that they probably want it. Or maybe it is. I don't know. Okay. Play for a land or basic. Sure. This spell costs 2 less, 4 damage. Okay. None of this is a massive Titan. Alright, that's beatable. Alright, let's go get our gate so I can find some value off our stuff here. I guess I technically missed 1 damage. I don't know how much that matters, though. Okay, so fight start creature you don't control. I suppose I will fight the thing without Death Touch. Probably a good idea, huh? We can swing all out, see how our opponent blocks. Okay. I killed Wormcoil, but there's still a second side of it. I'm gonna play this now. That's a good land. I can keep looping that land and making it so my opponent can't... Like, I always have a landfall trigger. Their commander costs 11. Okay, still can't cast it. Oh wait, can they? No, I don't think they can. I could have maybe tried to grow my Nantuko out of the random burn card range. Oh, it's the wrong side. Like this card, maybe? I don't really know if that matters. I mean, I guess I should. I don't know if I can anymore. Can I? I think I have time. Maybe I don't. That was a good draw. Maybe. Let's see what's here. That's a funny draw. Wish I could play it right now. Yeah, we're gonna try to make this out of like that annoying card range. Each opponent gets a poison counter. Deals damage. Yeah, so we have to kill the Death Touch token if I want to continue swinging. And then I can swing like this. I'm not going to swing with that. And if either of my stuff survive, I am sitting pretty. My opponent did not get rid of this, so they want to really emerge it. So I feel like I would have just got rid of this just to get the top 2 card thing without having to invest 7 or 8 mana here. Just to see what those cards are. Because your commander alone doesn't save you, and I guess you could emerge into something. Yeah, alright, so I messed around too much, and the Ghostfire hit something I'd rather it not. Oh, or my opponent's... No, they're not dead, right? They can emerge and then still find something. It's just not super likely. It's not likely, but it can happen. Like, they have 9, 10, so Ulalek... Oh, they didn't even choose to exile cards. I think they absolutely wanted to exile the top 2 cards. I really don't think they wanted to make treasure tokens. I think you can emerge from exile, so that's kind of weird. Okay, let's play this first, because that's funny, and then we play the Big Dumb. And I don't have to put the counters on Bristly Bill. I can just scatter them wherever I want. Okay, I was about to say, yeah. I'm going to make a lot of food tokens, too. So my opponent probably won't kill me with damage if they don't immediately kill me next turn. And they probably won't. But, yeah, we're going to have, what is this, 8 lands? Or 7, 8, 9. We're going to have a ton of lands come out. Bunch of food. I can spread the 1/1 counters on the 1/1s. There's not much of a reason to put it here, and then my opponent simply dies unless they had, like, triple lightning bolt, which I still don't think would have saved them, so, nice. That was a really good draw, actually. Again, just another game where these 2 things, but I do need lands, and I need them really, really bad. Okay, that doesn't actually impede my strategy. Like, at all, actually. Let's put him here to start, and then swing. Just get more damage this way. Maybe Bill survives with the spot removal. I did find the land, though. Alright, hopefully they don't have Languish. Or whatever. Land. Let's play the land. Let's spread out our stuff here. I'm gonna play this one. I'm gonna play this one. That's like borderline guarantee land next turn, unless my opponent has Ritual of Soot or Languish, which I don't ever see anymore, so who knows. Crux of Fate, Shield Druid, let's get rid of 6, right? Oh, we could just recast Bill, so I guess I get rid of Bill. Shield Druid doesn't like to block too much. If I swing, I think I'm just swinging with this. No, we can swing with everything. My opponent's at 12. Like, if you're not blocking the 5, well, guess what? You're taking 5. Yeah, makes sense. So this is a sweeper then? Some 6-mana sweeper. They don't have enough snow to... Oh, no, it's just protection. Okay, you can get behind that. I don't know what my opponent's outs are, but I'm sure they exist. Can just make a food token here, or a treasure. We could make it treasure. It helps us, like, after a board wipe to cast things, right? Because I'm already winning on the board. Opponent needs to find something immediately, basically. But just like last time, this commander just doesn't matter. It's not doing anything. Another awkward thing about what my opponent has done here is I actually don't have to... I don't actually have to play anything. But if I do play this, right, I pick up a land because of the confounding conundrum, but that's probably just fine, right? Like, I get a trigger, I just pick it back up. Like, the confounding conundrum doesn't seem like too good of an idea here. Yeah. I'm not sure, feels like a good idea to play it. Alright, so they need a way to sweep the board and not die to the One Ring in 3 turns. Yep, there's Blood in the Snow. It's the exact sweeper I was thinking about. Let's play this again. Play land. Present lethal threat. Pass turn. The One Ring cannot really be tapped, and they also have to deal with it. Or start gaining life or something. Okay. I'm sure there's a boatload of spot removal. Opponent hasn't scooped, so they must have a way to not die. Looks like there's multiple ways to not die. Excuse me, which is not a good sign. Unless it's Desperation Cast Commander. Hope I can't deal with it. Chump block. Don't think that's what's going to happen, though. Okay. I will play this pre-combat. And I will put counters on it, because my opponent's already dead. So, we'll get 1 treasure, maybe a food. We don't even really need food for, like, any reason. So, maybe I just don't do food. But this is already lethal. There's no reason for me to do anything. Yep, that's fine. I'll just make a second threat. This kills. I will kill it in response, I think. I don't even have to do that. Oh, my opponent messed up! They messed up! They messed up! Oh, they messed up! They were gonna chump block, dude. They wanted to chump block. Oh, no. Opponent. Oh, no. 50 lands is completely insane to me. Another Hardened Scales game. What is happening? Loader's Field is interesting. I don't know if I want to keep that in here. I'm thinking, now that I'm like looking at it, I don't even know if I like this, but... Well, it's in her hand. Let's see what happens. Okay, opponent does the best thing in the game. Of course I do. Let's go get a land. This is a game where I cannot afford to not play this, so... If it dies, I'm, like, borderline just losing. Okay, looks like it's not dying. Wayfarer's Bauble. That's a spicy one. Alright, what are we doing here? We're going to float 2, and then we're going to use that 2 to kill... Wait a minute, let's slow down. Let's just do this first so I don't mess this up. I don't feel like reading this. Just send it this way. I could have went to blocks first. My opponent's not going to block, but it would have been funny if they did. I could have schmeeded them really bad. Red-green doesn't really deal with large creatures too well, other than, like, blocking them for 6 years. So... I'm not going to put counters on the Provisioner quite yet. Especially how this gives trample, so if I make this large enough, I can get through whatever my opponent might do. Create a plant for each basic, and then your plants, or put 4 counters on your stuff. Alright, so they have 1 landfall trigger, which is pretty good right now. I don't know if it's good enough. I don't think it's even close to being good enough, but we'll see. Come on. Please, 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 game. Okay, thank you. So this is +4, +4. I'll make one food, because I don't need the rest of my mana, really. Okay, so this does give trample, right? They should be dead, unless they do something crazy. Trample, so it's a 16, and this is 4, yep. Yep, they messed up. I think they had to full block, and I still don't know if that would have been favorable for my opponent. Like, if they didn't do that, I think they still just get annihilated. Let's see, they had another 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they could have lived, but they would have lost literally everything, and they probably aren't coming out of their next turn. Like, they have to still deal with this. So yeah, I don't know what my opponent could really do. They usually don't have the perfect answer very quickly, so this is a good chance I untap with this. There's a moderate chance I don't, though. I'm not totally screwed if I don't, but if it dies twice, I'm probably screwed. Okay, so they did have the literal penultimate perfect 1-mana card. That answers everything I do. Why not? Non-land. That was one of my better hits. Yep, this is where I'm talking about having a 1-drop would have been categorically different. Do we have the second penultimate perfect answer? No, it doesn't look like we do. Lucky us. Alright. Flage. Wow. That's funny. We can play this first. Actually, no, we play this one because it's a sorcery and I can Harrow after. I think that's fine. I don't really know what I'm respecting with all this, but I really don't want to Harrow, but there's not really anything my opponent can do on 1 mana. I'm just going to Harrow here. There's nothing my opponent can have at 1 mana. They already... Well, they could have Fatal Push, but that doesn't make any sense. Honestly, Swords to Plowshares doesn't feel like it makes any sense either, but... I guess in a Nadu world, you're just playing monocolored decks in your multicolor only strategy. I'm totally shields down, though, so... Pretty subject to die here. I'm just banking on my opponent's next turn being their commander. They do not have 4 mana for Flage. I think they only have 3. No. It's not even coming out of the thing anyways, so... Oh, I guess I'm not shields down. Never mind. This gives hexproof and indestructible. I keep forgetting that. I forget this card sort of does everything. It tramples over, it protects. Combat trick. It's like just really good. Alright, I kind of like to see this. This has hexproof from multicolored. So, counter here, kill this. Borderline win the game. They kept it in their graveyard, that's funny. 10, 11, 12. Not lethal. Almost lethal, though. Worth it to send it. And only 1 protection spell up now, because I did it that way, but that's probably totally fine. Spend any mana... okay. Priest of Felrights. Though that's why they kept their commander in their graveyard. I see. Still kind of weird, but I like it. Alright, my opponent should be just totally dead, though. As in, they definitively are dead. Can't do anything. I'm just going to show them how dead they really were. Nice. I think we're going to take out the Lotus Field. I don't know. I feel like... Oh, there it is, right when I'm talking about it, of course. Okay. I mean, this hand is interesting. This is like the blue-white deck that doesn't usually care about its commander. It just like plays it to have a lower deck weight, so you play against weaker decks. Can name Druid pretty decisively. I don't really know if I want to ever crack the Lotus Field to it, but alright, because yeah, this works then. I drew another land, I don't have to think about anything. Blue land, interesting. Alright, let's name Elf or Scout, or... Guess I'll name Elf. It looks like it is a counterspell, so this worked out really nice. They're reading Cavernous Souls. Interesting. Alright, yep, looks like we got through. Now, this is a crucial turn. My opponent needs something spicy. I didn't want to see a white source. Alright, they didn't have anything crazy. Do you counter... I think I'm going to put one counter here. Do you counter the Mox Amber? It looks like targeted removal. Not good. This shuts off my opponent's ability. No, they shut off Nissa's ability. I suppose that's fair. Let us swing, because my opponent's not going to block. They cannot block. Okay, my opponent blocked. Guess I'll just trade, or kill it. So, now it's like sweeper or bust. Which demands an untapped white source. That is not an untapped white source. We are in for a while now. Can't play a 4-mana sweeper. There's a couple 3-mana ones. I don't imagine they're playing those. Okay, well, wouldn't have it anyways. Of all of these cards, let's see. 1, 2... Escape Shift does not work too well with Lotus Field, that's for sure. I think I'll send this out. I would not miss this. This I would not be upset it got counterspelled. So that's totally fine to me. Oh, and it did. Alright, sweet. So we're in for another 10. I could have went for lethal, but I really think my opponent had something there. They had something that targets creatures. Just don't want to go for that. Maybe I would have felt like I had to if my opponent was immediately dead or something to one of the creatures, but they were not. Almost, though. Yeah, the activation is a lot better than I thought it was. I don't even think my opponent knew I could do that when they blocked. Although maybe they just block anyways. I don't know. Probably not, though. They could cast their commander, but then there are shields down for white mana. We know of a double blue counter. So I gotta be careful. Double blue counter and then a 3-mana answer to something else could ruin us here. Okay, so now it cannot... Well, it still can be. It still can be. Let's put the counter here, even them out. So both creatures are now lethal. I can force a counter spell, but then I don't really like that. Okay, I can't cast two... Okay, let's see. Tapping out right now is kind of fine. So I will... Don't care if this gets countered. Yep. Nothing I can do about that. Alright. My opponent only had a single removal spell. 2 fetch lands. Zendikar's Royal's not too exciting. Guess this is fine. Okay. Bill? Probably, yep. Do you have the red spell to make me lose? Can still have it. They do not have it. Or they do and they didn't play it. Okay, I'm going to play this. That immediately just happened, so it feels like there's no red spell here. I will now proceed to annihilate my opponent's commander. And our creature's at 4 toughness, which is really good for a blue-red deck. I mean, as a blue-red opponent. For a blue-red opponent. I can't talk. You have to excuse me. Okay, let's do this. I think this is all I'm willing to do pre-combat. Yeah. Alright. That just makes me want to cast this now. I know I missed a damage, but that's fine. My opponent's leaving up a bunch of mana. I'm just going to try to leave my mana up as well. Well, now that I didn't put the damage here, I could just put it there. Okay, opponent's getting thirsty. Tyvar's is a very annoying thing for my opponents to deal with. Kind of hope they just cast their commander again. If that's all their deck is trying to do, then we're like in a really good spot. They could just cast a 4-mana artifact too. Nope, they're just casting this. Yeah, this is going to be pretty miserable. I don't think my opponent's going to come out of this one. Oh, wait. Swan Song. Alright. Good thing I did it on my turn. That means I get 2 damage. Okay, so I can play this and then do nothing. That's kind of weird. Can do this on land or non-land. Suppose land is just fine. Can play this, because I have additional land drops. Hardened Scales is a good one. I can't make it so my opponent has to block anything. Let's just do this. I gotta leave up Tyvar's. I have to leave up Tyvar's. There's just literally no way, so... Just doing this, I guess. Alright, my opponent got to where they want it to be. Hopefully it's not good enough to win. I don't believe I could have won, or forced the block, maybe, with the activation. Maybe I could force the block there. I don't think so, though. I don't think so. So I'm just hoping they can't untap their commander, really. That's what I'm just kind of banking on. They can't just put the One Ring in play. They will not get protection, so that's not going to work if they are thinking about that. They have to cast it. Unless they stop lethal, I'm not going to cast this. Okay, I don't really know what on earth my opponent could have that gets them out of this. And there's no reason for me to not go right to combat, so swing. This is borderline unbeatable, like maybe quadruple unsummon. I'm not sure what you could do to stay alive. That is almost enough. I would like them to tap a little bit more. Okay, that is fine. So now they're dead to the sky, because Tyvar Stand is more than just a protection spell. Look at that. So we do it for 4. We can just do it for 4, because that's lethal and I can play around Spell Pierce. Yep, it looks like they actually did have a response there. I think I might have genuinely just played around Spell Pierce. It could have held priority for this ability. Yeah, I guess that would make sense. It didn't have to be Spell Pierce, but we did see Swan Song, so Spell Pierce does make sense. I also should have played around Mist Cast, and it still would have been lethal. Alright, Dealer of Death. Makes me need 20,000 protection spells. But it is what it is. I guess don't have any. I don't think this game is about doing like 5 chunks of large damage. I'm just going to get my tapped land. Lost my edge of my opponent not knowing everything. They took a 3-drop. Is that a good thing for us? I don't know. In no universe can I play Bill right now. Probably can't even play it next turn, but I gotta start playing it eventually. I feel like it makes more sense to just commit a ramp spell this turn cycle. No matter how you slice it. Okay, well, Snooze Fest awaits us. Please play your commander, and then I can proceed to then not do anything about it anyways. So my opponent doesn't know I don't have a protection spell, but it's pretty easy to figure out that I don't have one. They also don't necessarily have to care about my commander, which is another issue here. Let's cast this. Okay. Let's play land, swing for 5, and now it's up to our opponent to, this turn cycle, have to deal with Bristly Bill. because I cannot deal with it later with black or red spells, namely black spells. Okay, yep, nothing I can do. That was a very, very, very good draw. The midnight clock hopefully is all what my opponent's banking on, and maybe I can just outrace it. Oh, jeez, what is going on? Well, okay, I guess. Whatever. There's a lot of devastating things I can hit, which is a major problem for me. Wasn't expecting that. I can get rid of this and this. Or I can just let my opponent duplicate a random thing in my deck that doesn't matter. So that's fine. Most likely a land or something. Okay, it wasn't a land. Well, that was just completely bonkers. +1/+0 and indestructible. I didn't draw a land. Come on. 1/0 and indestructible. Fight here. And then I don't do this, I lose the game, so probably still losing. Don't think I had much of a chance in this matchup, honestly, but I don't know. It's probably my best bet. I really wish I drew a land there. It's really bad that I didn't. Dashing Ragavan is probably a good sign. Probably. I'm not upset to see this at all. There's not much my opponent could steal, really. Okay, that's a good thing to steal, but it's very slow. They do cast it, though. This midnight clock is about to clock my midnights. This doubles counters, right? Not like power. So let's see here. I can make my commander indestructible, and I think this is so important that I'm just going to do it. Yeah, that's just too important to not do. Just gonna do it. Grenzo, recasting Grenzo here, can they? Right? Non-land, yeah, they can, but then they cannot actually cast anything else because they can only cast one spell a turn. They cannot cast the free spell off of Grenzo, then I can proceed to kill it. So this works out quite favorably, which is kind of nuts. But sure, yep, they cannot cast another spell, right? Yes, alright. And then when I kill this, they can't cast the spell for free off of Grenzo. Oh, they're reading the Crucible. They're reading it. They're like, oh, I can't cast more spells. That's funny. They're reading it. Yep. So counter here, do that. There's literally nothing you can do. Cannot cast spells. So, are they dead? They are dead if I go for it, and there's not really much of a reason not to. So this +5 makes them super dead. This is basically free to cast, because I still have the 6 I need. Does this proliferate the indestructible counters? Oh, it doesn't. I don't know, that wouldn't matter, but... Alright, it's indestructible. Alright, Desperation Fatal Push? Doesn't do it. Doesn't do it. They can't be running that either, so... Wow, that's nuts. I actually beat this. Not only did I beat this Grixis removal nonsense, I beat, like, Grenzo, my own 1/1 plant thing. Like, that is crazy. My hand got hit. I got hit by a discard spell, too. Ulalek. There's 50 different ways to play this deck. The way I played it was terrible. I cannot imagine that's how my opponent is playing it. Do we keep this hand? Land. I do like Scute Swarm against what is maybe an Eldrazi deck. Okay, we'll see. I guarantee you it has green in it, at least. Does it have the I win the game on 1? Breeding pool something. Nope, it doesn't. That makes me want to cast this on turn 1. What am I doing next turn? Do I anticipate a bunch of answers? I almost, like, kind of don't. I don't really know what to expect. Can I play off curve like that? Maybe? Opponent didn't do anything, so I don't want to anymore. I feel like I should not respect that much, but this, I don't know what this matchup is. I don't know what's happening. Hopefully it's not a growth spiral, but it could be a cyclonic rift or something. Okay, so I will cast it now. It's a lot less problematic if it gets answered this time. Of course it gets answered, why wouldn't it? Scute Swarm, land. Feels really good right now. Because I can play Bill next turn, and that's fine. I'm going to go to attacks before I do anything. Sylvan Safekeeper could be really good. It can also be kind of meh. Oh, wow, it was a Cyclonic Rift. I was right. It actually was. I don't even know if I would have bounced in response. You're so close to just, like, overloading it. I don't really know what that's about, but okay. Okay, so they name Eldrazi, I assume. Makes sense to me. Yeah, I really don't know if I would have bounced Bill there. That's kind of weird. It's actually really weird. No incentive, like, I'm not incentivized to ever, like, put counters on it. Alright, well, all of this needs to have something crazy right now, and I don't know what that is, but my opponent will show me real quick. I could not Rishkars because they did bounce that, but yeah, I don't know. That was really weird. Okay, so this did profoundly well. Borderline, if not literally better than Pock, just because you don't have to go tall on this single creature. You can go tall, or excuse me, you don't have to go all in on a single creature in a super tall style. You can play other creatures, and you don't have to play too many other creatures. And then those creatures are also a bit of a problem. It did not feel like I needed hardened scales every single game. I don't think I even ever got Ozolith, but or this Ozolith. But the protection spells, like, the biggest issue was playing it on turn 2, and then it untaps for my opponent, then they kill it, and then I have nothing to do the next turn, or the next turn, unless I had, like, a ramp spell, because Bill won't see landfall trigger for at least 3 more turns, right? You got to play it on turn 4, and then the next turn is where the landfall trigger happens. So that is extremely devastating. Like, borderline, you almost just immediately lose. However, sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes they only had 1 removal spell, and I had something else going on, and they couldn't deal with that. And it wasn't too difficult to cast Bristly Bill the second time, really, which is really nice. I will say the worst cards in the deck were everything that basically cost almost 4. Like, 4 was alright, but 4 and up were the ones I just were never interested in casting. I always wanted to leave up mana for, like, some of the protection spells, the fight effects. I never really felt like I ever had time to cast Zendikar's Royal, so I just don't like this card in the deck. I really don't. Same with this. Like, this is an excellent card if I have another card that goes with it that isn't my commander. Because at this point, my commander should probably already be in play. It is cool that you could make this massive with Bristly Bill, and all of a sudden all of your Nantuko and your Scute Swarm tokens are huge. But, like, that's so win more, right? That's so win more. If your opponent didn't answer your 5/5 trampler, or let's say it's even a 7/7 trampler by the time I'm getting landfall triggers with Bristly Bill, so I'm putting the counters here, you would assume. If they're not answering this, they're probably dead. So I just don't like that either. Rishkar's was a bit tough to cast. I did like this. This felt fine at 5, right? It felt fine. I would be excellent at 4, like another Scape Shift. I would prefer another Scape Shift over this card, but can't do that. But yeah, this was tough. I never even got close to getting value out of a Green Warden, so you could also drop this. I know it doubles your triggers, so it basically comes with a Hardened Scales, because all of your landfall triggers are twice. It's better than that, because your Scute Swarm tokens are doubled up too, I guess. It's kind of cool, but I don't know. This is expensive, and doesn't really do that much when it enters. And I don't even like Primeval Titan, and I think this is probably worse than Primeval Titan. Primeval Titan just gives you 2 lands, right? This pulls them out of the graveyard, and I wasn't running Primeval Titan, so this is probably worse than that. And I wasn't running that, so yeah, I don't even like this. I also just didn't like that. Did not like that. The Oracle's alright. Conduit is probably good enough just because getting lands out of your graveyard is fine when you're running, like, this many fetch lands and stuff. Especially Lotus Field. It feels a lot better to play, like, the graveyard things. You could run, which I don't think I was, the Excavator. Yeah, Ramunap Excavator. That probably should have been in here. Excuse me. It's just fine, right? Playing lands out of my graveyard is totally fine. Lotus Field does not work too well with Scape Shift, but that only caused an issue in a single game, and I won that game anyways, so I take that for what you will. I did like bouncing Arid Archway on itself. Like, you could just pick up this desert repeatedly if it's your only land, so you just keep getting landfall triggers every turn. That's just fine. I didn't need 5 or 6 mana every game. I didn't. So I could just simply, if this is the only land I've got going, and if I ever draw lands, just play those instead, right? Like, this is just a fallback land. I just like it. You can get it with Map the Frontier too, which is kind of cool. There doesn't appear to be a Sylvan Scrying worth land, in my opinion, other than, like, Cavernous Souls, but that's so situational. I would never really do that. So I wasn't doing that. Nykthos was probably useless. I didn't have a lot of games with any high amount of devotion, and even if I did, I'm actually not doing anything with that devotion anyways. So I think I'm going to drop that for a forest. We were running 42 lands. It could actually go up another land. Felt like maybe I was getting a little choked on mana. Maybe 1 more land is fine if we're really trying to hit a land drop every turn. I think that's fine. It did feel good to not have Mana Dorks, which is kind of a really cool in a mono green deck of all things, right? Like, no Mana Dorks. That's kind of nuts. You could make room for them by taking out some of these 4s and up. Like, Oracle is cool with your commander, but imagine just playing your commander on turn 2 and having a protection spell up instead. Or having a turn 3 or a turn 2 cultivate, or a turn 3 4-drop or something. Like, that isn't Oracle, because it obviously could take it out, but I really don't know. I don't know if playing Mana Dorks are better than what we did, but I didn't really ever lose, and I played a wide range of strategies, so I'm not really sure. I think just because it doesn't play Mana Dorks, it's worth doing that, simply so you're not playing Mana Dorks for once. Maybe that's just a breath of fresh air to you, in a mono green deck of all things. It felt totally fine. Mox Amber with every commander that costs 2 and down. 2 and down is like an auto include, so I wouldn't take this out. This isn't the same as a Mana Dork. This is like sometimes a league of its own, really, in certain strategies, right? Especially like Tameo, the 1 mana commander, is just like disgusting. Ragavan. All the fights were excellent. Being able to protect this very consistently was something I was able to do. And being able to beat people to death with a large creature, even if it was just a single creature, was something I never really struggled with, which is really, really nice. Yeah, the Rishkars and the Wild Speaker draw equal to its size. Those are kind of the only ones that are, like, wishy-washy. Maybe you would prefer these be more fights, more protection spells, maybe more lands or ramp spells or something. Because this is something that happens super late in the game. It can turn the game back into your favor if you're staring at a massive board, but your opponent can't swing at you and you can't swing at them. They have like a death toucher or just a lot of stuff in play. You could maybe break that parity with a card like this. It is possible. Remember, if this dies in response, though, you don't draw anything. And that means this is basically a 7-mana card sometimes. If your opponent has a bunch of lands in play and hasn't cast anything, and, well, you have this, it's like... And it's a sorcery. So, like, this card is rough. Really rough around the edges to justify, but I don't know. That's up to you. I would say no. I would say no, but I'll leave it in just for the deck upload because maybe it just, gives you a starting place to sort of think about it. But this is one of those cards that is borderline a trap, and you don't want to get trapped. This one is an instant and cost 5. That is very different. If they go to kill this and you cast this in response, you're like not really upset at all. I guess there's the bottom side. You could surprise kill your opponent with the bottom part of this. I mean, there's more text on it, but Rishkar's did not feel ideal at all. Scapeshift actually did, which I do like. I like Scapeshift decks that just cast it for landfall triggers. That's always kind of neat to me, especially like you can find other lands that aren't basics. That's kind of cool, I guess. I don't know. It's just cute. You could totally run a rampant or a explosive veggies instead. Right, so you go up mana instead of saying at the same amount of mana. You could just do that too. You could get Lotus Field every time with this though, and that's pretty cool if you have Crucible Worlds. That seemed like an interesting concept, I guess. Or, one of the Crucible World effects. Archdruid's Charm is probably universal enough where I would just still like it at 3, even though it doesn't actually have anything to tutor for, like a large threat, which is kind of something I usually like to do with this, but... You can find a land, which comes with a landfall trigger, and if that breaks a breakpoint, where now you use it as a protection spell, that's funny. If they lightning bolt, you cast this in response. Instead of putting a counter and fighting, just get a land and get the counter that way or something. 6 was cool, didn't really get to play it with that much, unfortunately. Play with it that much. And yeah, that's it. That was very straightforward. It was pretty easy to play. I didn't feel too bad about the first time Bill ever died in a lot of matchups. I won some games I thought that I had no chance of winning, which is crazy. And yeah, I just like it. It felt better than Pock in certain matchups. In the other matchups, it probably just felt kind of the same. So I would make the argument this is probably better than Pock. I think it might actually be better than Pock now. I do think so. Especially with everyone playing that 2-mana enchantment that bounces lands, additional lands per turn, because Nadu tries to cheat in a bunch of mana. So they try to do that. Even though Nadu can actually tap the lands before they bounce to their hand, I think. So you're actually not shutting down Nadu's like extra land drops at all. Like they can still generate mana and get the landfall trigger. So I don't even think it's a good card against it, but it is a card that I see a lot now in blue decks. That means that Pock got hit, splash damage. And this did not, because when you bounce lands back to your hand, well, guess what? My opponent gave me a land for next turn. I don't care, right? I'm not doing anything that costs that much mana. So, I really like this commander. I can recommend it. I will recommend it. 10 out of 10 would play it again. Let me know what you thought about it. If you have a deck strategy or something that's different enough from this, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.